Oh snap! I still haven't had a Halloween special for my YouTube channel. Spookify! Perfection. So, how is everybody doing today? Happy Halloween, guys. It's TVB, and this is a video I've been wanting to do for a long time now, and my YouTube channel's 7th anniversary was a few weeks ago on October 7th, and I asked you guys on a poll that day, like, what type of video would you guys would rather me make first, because I've had these ideas for a while, and you guys mostly voted for me making a video ranking like all the best movies I've seen per year I've been alive. My birthday was a few weeks ago. I was born in 1998. Year of the Tiger, and this video I'm just going to go through all my favorite films that, came out in their respective years. So I'm going to start with my favorite film from 98, then I go to my favorite film from 99, then 2000, 2001, 2003, 2004, 2005, blah, 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 up until 2020, even though this year is not really over yet. And big thanks to Ryan O'Toole for inspiring me to make this video. He made a video very simple, just like this a year and a half ago, and I've been wanting to do the same ever since he did that. So big thanks to Ryan O'Toole. Check his channel out. The guy is very underrated, and he's another, guy who reviews a lot of movies like myself. And us smaller YouTubers really need to stick together, especially in this day and age. So without further ado, let's get to it. My favorite film from 1998, the year I was born in, is Mulan, which is my second favorite animated movie of all time, first being The Lion King. And this movie had a remake recently. I'm just gonna put this on my neck, on Disney Plus, which I refuse to watch because the original is just such a classic, and Mulan is just such a great girl power movie that she can disguise herself as a man, do all the things that her male counterparts can do. And notice that in the original Mulan, she doesn't even do that much fighting when the Huns are attacking. She relies mostly on her wits and strategy and disabling people instead of, just brute strength, traditionally masculine ways of going about your problems, right? And just the way this film, I've been a huge history buff for as long as I can remember. This film, I know it takes a lot of liberties from Chinese history, but it really made me invested in reading more about China's history, because this is the world's oldest living civilization, and Mushu, voiced by Eddie Murphy, has me laughing hysterically every time I watch it, and Shan Yu is a fantastic, menacing villain that I just can't get my eyes off of whenever he's on screen. And I'll Make a Man Out of You is my favorite Disney song of all time. Listen to that song quite a bit when I'm studying and working, getting ready for exams and whatnot. And yeah, Mulan is just, I've seen this movie way too many times, and I think I'm gonna watch it some more in the years to come. Alright, my favorite film in 1999. 1999 was a really good year for animated movies. We had The Iron Giant, Tarzan, and Toy Story 2, which I still haven't watched. My friend Danny keeps bugging me to watch Toy Story 2, so next time I'm home in New Jersey, him and the guys may or may not make a classic movie review for it. We'll see how that plays out, I guess. But I will say that out of all the big animated movies that came out that year, my favorite film of that year is South Park: Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Oh my, this movie is my favorite musical that's not from Disney. And someone please give this film a Broadway adaptation, because South Park has done every medium except Broadway. They've done TV shows, movie, video games, books, you name it. They still have not done a big stage Broadway adaptation. And just the songs in this movie, Blame Canada, Uncle Fucka, Kyle's Mom's a Bitch. There's just so many funny, iconic moments, and just I remember back in I remember first watching South Park in elementary school, and there was the episode when the water park is flooded in pee, and Kenny drowns in pee, and I was the biggest goody two shoes back then. I was this is so inappropriate. Boys made should not be watching this, which is funny because this film, the whole satire and commentary surrounds parents blaming movies and cartoons and video games for their kids' rotten behavior when they have no one to blame themselves. Blame Canada, right? Oh no, Kyle's mom doesn't seem to understand, it's her own fault for not keeping better tabs on her kids or watching Terrence and Phillip. And now we have a war with Canada, and all hell breaks loose, literally, because Satan and Saddam Hussein come out of the earth. And yeah, this film was even nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Song for Blame Canada, and it lost to You'll Be in My Heart from Tarzan, written by Phil Collins. And that led Matt Stone and Trey Parker make a hilarious episode of Timmy making fun of Phil Collins. Oh my gosh, that episode's such a classic. And yeah, South Park, bigger, longer uncuts. It's like, it was also the highest grossing like R-rated animated film until it was dethroned by Sausage Party, and for a very good reason. This movie is 20 years old now. My favorite film of 2000 is Gladiator. Again, just like with Mulan, this film does take a lot of like historical liberties. Like most Gladiator fights back in ancient Rome actually weren't as bloodthirsty as we've been led to believe. Like only 1 out of 10 Gladiator fights resulted in death. For the most part, Gladiator fights are more like a WWE with swords. Like it was a lot of sword play, and it was very staged, and they were like they were like sponsorships from what I've read. But anyway, just Gladiator, looking on the film on its own merits, is just such a classic, and Russell Crowe just nails the performance. Are you not entertained? Is it not why you are here? Like, oh my gosh, that line is so iconic, and the performances and Ridley Scott's direction is just flawless, and the score and the action scenes, just the grandiose scale, and you feel, and it's heartbreaking too. You feel so bad for Maximus when he loses his family at the start of the movie, and then he vows revenge, and it's just like that scene is so iconic. It's like, oh, I'm a father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance. Like, oh my gosh, he is menacing as heck, and the villain played by Joaquin Phoenix, Commodus, is so slimy and despicable, and you're just so satisfied when he's taken down in the end. And this film rightfully deserved the Oscar for Best Picture back in 2000. It really kicked this century off on a high note. Or should I say the millennium off on a high note. Oh my gosh, what movie's gonna look like in the year 3000? Assuming humanity hasn't destroyed itself to extinction by then. Now, I'm gonna cheat a little bit for 2001, because I'm gonna say my favorite movies from 2001 straight to 2003, because these are 3 movies that came out consecutively, 2001, 2002, 2003, and they're not just my favorite movies of their respective year, they're also my favorite movies of all time. And that, my friends, is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Oh my gosh, Peter Jackson did such an amazing, timeless job at bringing Middle-earth to life, bringing Tolkien's world and his novels to the big screen, and just everything about this trilogy to me is just so precious. Like, the characters, Frodo, Sam, Gandalf, Pippin, Merry, Legolas, Gimli, Aragorn, and Boromir and Gollum, and everybody in this movie was just the performances from like Ian McKellen and Christopher Lee and Andy Serkis revolutionizing motion capture for Gollum. Oh my gosh, Andy Serkis is one of my favorite actors, and he really brought motion capture to life. And the special effects utilizing both real life sets in New Zealand and groundbreaking CGI, and Return of the King won 11 Oscars, including Best Picture, and rightfully so. It holds record. I think it still holds record for most Oscar nominations. Oscar wins, for a single film. It's tied with like Titanic and Ben-Hur. That came out way back in the day. And just the action scenes, the score from Howard Shore, and it's heart-wrenching, so many like emotional moments, and it's funny too. It's like, it's like, what about breakfast? Well, we just had breakfast. Yes, that was first breakfast. What about second breakfast? Like, I'm majoring in English with a concentration in creative writing so I can pursue a career in fantasy writing. That's been like one of my, that and like working in a zoo have been like my 2 life ambitions. And it's like Tolkien and Peter Jackson both are just such inspirations, and just the world and just the lore and the mythology and like everything. I could talk about the Lord of the Rings and how much I love it all day long. So to save you guys a breath, I'm just going to jump at my favorite movie, 2004, which is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, another fantabulous adaptation of a fantasy novel. I will say Prisoner of Azkaban is fitting that I got my Draco Malfoy costume. Hang on, where's my Slytherin scarf? I have my Slytherin scarf right here, I forgot to put it on. Sue me. I think Prisoner of Azkaban is probably my 3rd favorite Harry Potter film. I'm really undecided whether my favorite is either Chamber of Secrets or a certain other one that we'll get to later. I'm still really torn between these two, but Prisoner of Azkaban, just Alfonso Cuarón, his direction was just so great, and with like them growing up, and this is definitely the more light-hearted first half of the Harry Potter film series. Harry and Hermione and Ron are still growing up, and my boy Draco is being as slimy as ever, and you got Buckbeak, a griffin. They're riding griffins in this movie, and there's time travel, and there's werewolves and Sirius Black, and just the direction is just moving in such a great direction. And you watch Harry Potter, just the Prisoner of Azkaban are just so hyped for what's next, and it's like one of those films. I remember like when my sister introduced me to Harry Potter way back when we were kids. It's like we would watch Prisoner of Azkaban. I would go upstairs to do something else, and she would just stay downstairs to just rewatch it a second time, just like watch this movie on repeat. Like she was that like obsessed with Harry Potter back in the day, and I still haven't read the Harry Potter books, and she keeps bugging me to do so. So I definitely gotta get on doing that at some point. All right, my favorite movie of 2005, another Peter Jackson classic, and that, my friends, is King Kong. This is probably my favorite movie remake of all time, and I will admit, this is not a perfect 10 out of 10 movie. It does have its issues. Did it need to be 3 hours long? Absolutely not. I know people love to rip at this movie for having too much build up, because Kong doesn't even appear until an hour into the movie. There's just way too much time spent on the boat until they get to Skull Island. I get the criticism there. There is it's you gotta cut off a lot of fat from the steak before you can start eating the juicy stuff. But once they get to Skull Island and the natives attack and they kidnap Anne and they string her up and Kong takes her away, and then they go on a quest to take her back and have to fight a lot of dinosaurs and giant bugs. This was the first PG-13 movie I ever watched. I didn't see King Kong in theaters. My friend Matt had me over, back in elementary school, had me over at his house, and we watched it there. And that fucking scene when Andy Serkis' character Lumpy is eaten by the Carnictus, those giant slug things in the pit, had me... I had PTSD for weeks. It was so, heart-wrenching and terrifying to look at. And it's the score is also so, spot on. This is a how-to guide to remake a movie. They took everything that was great about the 1933 King Kong, except the pacing, of course, and brought it to life for a new age, because Ann Dara in this movie is a strong female character, while Ann Dara in the 1933 film is just a damsel in distress who just screams at Kong every 2 seconds, which might not sit well for a lot of modern viewers. But yeah, just her and Jack Black and Adrian Brody, everyone in this movie brings it their all, and Andy Serkis both as Lumpy and as the Big K himself with the motion capture. Just the performances were so spot on. The action scenes and the adventure, and the last fight scene when Kong is flying the airplanes, they just gun him down and he falls off. So heartbreaking. And yeah, I cannot wait. Hopefully the movie can get out of Hollywood's gulag. I'm so excited for Godzilla vs. Kong. Alright, my favorite movie of 2006 is Casino Royale. I'm still undecided what my favorite James Bond film is. It's either this or Skyfall. Both those films are masterpieces. And yeah, my favorite movie of 2006 being Casino Royale. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think this was the first, Daniel Craig Bond film. Daniel Craig is a fantastic James Bond, and Eva Green was such a great Bond girl as well for this film. Eva Green's one of my favorite actresses. I love her a lot. And just the action scenes and the performances, and the whole classic Bondisms are still there after all these years. He really brought Bond to life for a new generation, and just the cinematography, the editing was just so spot on. And yeah, I was pretty heartbroken when I got the news this morning that Sean Connery passed away. This year just... Don't worry, guys. New Year's will be here before you know it. 2020 is not going to last forever, and I'm pretty sure Sean Connery is up above right now with Eddie Van Halen and Kobe Bryant and Chadwick Boseman and all the other wonderful souls that we've lost. Yeah. Sir Sean Connery, I should say. A true Scottish hero. May he rest in peace. Sean Connery, you will be missed. Alright, my favorite movie of 2007 is Superbad. One of my favorite memories from my sophomore year of high school was during February. My friend John and I went on a ski trip with our church, and we stayed in Vermont, in a hotel in Vermont, and him, myself, and our 2 other friends, after the ski trip was done, we were supposed to take the bus home the next morning. We turned on the TV, and Superbad was playing on one of the channels, and we were up until 3 or 4 a.m. just watching it, and oh my gosh, Superbad is just such a high school comedy classic with Michael Cera and Jonah Hill and Mick Lovin. Just the scene when Mick Lovin gets his fake ID that just says McLovin from Honolulu, Hawaii, and Jonah Hill is just like flipping out and like, you're not buying any booze with this, we gotta like get laid, man. Oh my gosh, that scene, that is so iconic, and just the performances and the party scene and the two cops, you know, one was, I forget the other actor's name, but the other one's played with Seth Rogen. It's like, McLovin! Oh my gosh, Superbad is like a comedic classic and one of the greatest comedies of all time, and I haven't watched that movie in years. I definitely need to give it another watch at some point. Alright, my favorite movie of 2008. This is also like in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. And I know everyone says this is their favorite movie of 2008, and it's for a good reason. It's The Dark Knight. Oh my gosh, Christopher Nolan is one of my favorite directors, and he really just nailed the Batman trilogy, because this franchise like low-key saved the superhero genre, because Batman and Robin back in 1997 was such a colossal failure, and for good reason. And people didn't really have much faith in the Batman, you know, franchise. But then Christopher Nolan restored everyone's faith in the Cape Crusader, and Christian Bale as Batman and Heath Ledger as Joker, the villain, the combo of the two, and the guys' like intensity and their rivalry, and just like Heath Ledger as the Joker, one of the greatest performances, not just for any villain, but for any character of all time. Like, Heath Ledger posthumously and deservedly won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor back in 2008, and I think the Joker is my favorite like cinematic villain of all time, with Darth Vader and Thanos coming in at close seconds and thirds. And yeah, just the direction, the cinematography, a Hans Zimmer score, oh my gosh, I could listen to that score all day, and Morgan Freeman is in this film as well, and like, just the intensity, and it was emotionally moving, and just the action scenes were just so spot on, and yeah, Dark Knight is like one of those movies that you can just watch over and over again, not get bored. Okay, 2009 was a really good year for movies, sci-fi movies especially, and I have to say my favorite movie from 2009, which is also in my top 5 favorite movies of all time, that is Avatar. I don't care how overrated people say it is, or how thrilled everyone was when Endgame dethroned Avatar at the box office, you know, last year. This film, I only saw it once in the theaters, but I got it on DVD and I've watched it God knows how many times since then. I could just watch Avatar over and over again and not get bored. Just the world of Pandora is so vast. The CGI, the cinematography, the score, the technical work is still to this day some of the most impressive technical work I've ever seen in a film. James Cameron was, like, his direction is just flawless, and the characters and the Na'vi, their cultures, just brought life so well. And I watched this movie, rewatched it again a month ago. I was watching a lot of deleted scenes for it, and there's just like all these unfinished scenes. I still haven't watched like the extended version of this film, but like if the extended version, if they finished all the deleted scenes, and if the extended version was like 4 hours long or 5 hours long even, like I'd still watch the hell out of it. And like just the action scenes, oh my gosh. Stephen Lang as Colonel Quaritch is one of my favorite villains of all time, and he's so menacing and gets the job done. A lot of people argue that he's the real hero of the movie, you know, him and the humans, because they're trying to save, you know, humanity by like destroying Pandora and taking its resources. I don't entirely agree with that. I prefer to view Quaritch as the bad guy who does unacceptable things for understandable reasons, but I digress. And yeah, just like the final fight scene at the end of the movie is still one of the greatest action scenes of all time. And like, I cannot wait for the sequels. They've been like delayed loads and loads of times, but James Cameron is patient and he waits. He waited a long time to make Avatar for the first time, because he knew that they didn't have the technology to make this grandiose sci-fi epic. And yeah, he's waiting to do the same thing for the Avatar sequels, and I can't wait for those when they come around. Alright, we're segueing into the 2010s. And my favorite movie 2010 was probably the best year for animation, in my opinion. Because not just for like animated movies, but animated like, you know, TV shows like cartoons as well. We had Adventure Time and Regular Show that year, like a new age of like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon shows coming around. But I will say that my favorite movie 2010 is Toy Story 3. 1 out of 3 animated films to receive an Oscar nomination for Best Picture. The second one was the year before that with Up, and the first was back in 1991 with Beauty and the Beast. And Toy Story 3, I know it's not a trilogy anymore, but still, this and Return of the King and Return of the Jedi are like the how-to guides to ending a movie trilogy. Like the ending when, you know, Woody and Buzz and the gang let us say goodbye to Andy because he gives them all to Molly, and it's like, so long, partner. Oh my gosh. if you didn't at least choke up a little bit when you first watched that scene, you probably don't have a soul. And just like Lotso Huggenberry was a great villain, and just the writing, the score, the animation, and just the imaginativeness, it's like it really brings you back to the childhood days, but it can still really entertain the adults as well. And the drama and the comedy, just it's like, oh, they turned Buzz into a Spanish speaker. It's like, what are instructions? I don't know, they're all in Spanish. Oh my gosh, that cracks me up every time I watch it. And yeah, Pixar, please, for the love of God, don't make a Toy Story 5. Just just do like Disney Plus original shorts for Bo Peep and characters like that. That's great and all, but yeah, the Toy Story franchise is probably the greatest like animated movie franchise of all time, and it's really like a time capsule, just like how far like computer animation has come since 1995. Okay, my favorite movie 2011, as I mentioned, back in 2004 with Prisoner of Azkaban, is Deathly Hallows Part 2. Like this 8 films. This is the 8th film in the Harry Potter franchise, and arguably the best. It was so dark and grim, but the action scenes were just, oh my gosh. The final fight scene for Hogwarts, and all the Death Eaters and the Dementors and the Trolls and the Spiders are just attacking Hogwarts, and all the wizards are defending themselves. So many like iconic moments, like, oh my gosh, they gotta destroy the Horcruxes, and Neville takes the sword and kills Nagini with it, and like the last fight scene between Harry and Voldemort. The whole franchise accumulating up until this point, and they're having the wizard lightning battle outside of Hogwarts, and yeah, just I remember seeing that movie way back in 2011 with my sister and my mom, walking in a theater wanting to just like cry hysterically, because like, wow, this is it, it's over, like the adventure, this is where it just cuts off like this. I think this was my pick for the second best movie of the 2010s. I made my like top 9 best movies of the decade video back in January, which kind of segues us into my favorite film of 2012, which is also in my top 5 favorite movies of all time, and my favorite movie of the past decade, and that is The Avengers. Still my favorite MCU film, my favorite superhero movie, and my favorite comic book movie. 2012 is my pick for the best year for film, because we had so many great movies come out the year. We had The Dark Knight Rises, 21 Jump Street, Life of Pi, Skyfall, Zero Dark 30, Silver Linings Playbook, just Argo. A lot of really just fantastic movies came out that year, but Avengers is still number 1 for me. I remember seeing the trailer for The Avengers way back in middle school, and being just so hyped to see like all these superheroes on screen together. And it happened, and I was not disappointed in the slightest. Like, Joss Whedon's direction, Alan Silvestri's score was just like a match made in heaven. And like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye, just the original 6, just that like scene, when they're in New York and the score is playing and the camera like rotates around all 6 of them, like they're assembling. I get like hairs on my arms standing up every time I watch it, and just the action scenes, the writing, the themes, and just like it was. I know, I mean, everyone says like, oh, Civil War and Endgame and Infinity War were all better films than the Avengers, but it's like just the nostalgia when it's like, yeah, this is like how big superhero movies got back then. And they haven't, and it's like they've gotten bigger, but it's like it feels nice to have something still be big, but not that big. So you gotta have those nostalgia points for it as well. And yeah, the MCU's not dying anytime soon, I know that for sure. So, and yeah, I cannot wait for Black Widow. It's about time she's got her own movie, darn it. Alright, my favorite movie of 2013, the year that I started making YouTube videos actually, is The Wolf of Wall Street. I think the 2 highlights of my freshman year of high school were starting my YouTube channel and seeing The Wolf of Wall Street. Remember, like, it was right before New Year's. My friends and I we wanted to see this movie. I asked my mom, like, a few days before, like, Mom, can I see The Wolf of Wall Street? And she was like, sure. So we bought tickets to see Walking with Dinosaurs, and we snuck into the theater that was playing The Wolf of Wall Street instead. And we just had such a riot for 3 hours with Leonardo DiCaprio and Jonah Hill. Then a few weeks after that, my parents saw the movie. Mom looks at me and was like, Vita, if I knew how vulgar that movie was, I wouldn't have let you see it. Oh my gosh, this movie is so R-rated. Like 569 F-words were used in the entire runtime of Wolf of Wall Street. And the Quaalude scenes and the hookers, and oh my gosh. This was a movie, even as a 15-year-old, this was a movie that made me promise myself I would never let the life of greed or excess get the best of me, because Jordan Belfort, he's such a sleazebag, and he's making all this money, and it's like it's destroying him, and he's being greedy and selfish, and destructive, and he cheated on his first wife, and he marries Margot Robbie's character, and then she divorces him at the end of the film, and it's like, everyone knows who Margot Robbie is now thanks to this movie. This was her big break, and Margot Robbie's now like one of my favorite actresses. Oh my gosh, she is so beautiful, and as great as Harley Quinn as well. And yeah, just like, it was hilarious, and it was gripping, it was engaging, had a fantastic story. I know it was very exaggerated from the true story, behind it, but Martin Scorsese's direction was just so flawless. I haven't seen that many Martin Scorsese films, actually. So just from what I have seen, this one is my favorite, and it does. And like Leonardo DiCaprio should have won Best Actor at the Oscars, and this is also my favorite Jonah Hill performance as well. And yeah, Jonah Hill also killed it, and this is the end of that same year as well. And yeah, that was a really great year for the actor. I really hope that these two work together in the future. Alright, my favorite movie of 2014 was a really close call between this and Whiplash. Excuse me, Birdman, but yeah, Whiplash is Whiplash is my favorite movie of 2014. And just the intensity. I remember seeing this movie for the first time in theaters with my friend, and you could not move. You could not get your eyes off the screen. And my jaw dropped so many times while I was watching this movie. This film really hit my heartstrings. And I played tuba in my school's concert band. I've been playing tuba since I was 11, so I totally feel bad for Miles Teller's character playing the drums with his really intense teacher, and J.K. Simmons playing Terrence Fletcher so deserved the Oscar Best Supporting Actor. It's just the soundtrack and the intensity. Who knew a movie about playing jazz music with an evil teacher could just be so intense? And Damien Chazelle, I think that's what the director's name is. His direction was just flawless, and you watch Whiplash and you just cannot get your eyes off the screen. And it definitely went down as one of the best films of the past decade. It even earned a spot on my top 9 best movies of the 2010s video, and for a very good reason. Hey, my favorite movie 2015. That was a pretty good year for movies. We had Force Awakens, Mad Max Fury Road, a lot of other really great stuff. But I'd say my favorite movie 2015 is Strata, Compton. I know this film did take some creative liberties, from the original story of how NWA became a thing back in the 80s. But still, this was a film that really got me into rap. And I don't listen to a whole lot of rap, but I remember getting my driver's license that December. And then, during the summer of 2016, when I was, taking a math class at the time, and, taking a comic book class as well, summer camps and stuff like that, and I was able to drive. I would just drive around town playing the Strata Compton, CD soundtrack, because there are just so many iconic songs. Strata Compton, Fuck the Police, Gangsta Gangsta, and yeah, just NWA was just a very iconic band, and just the commentary, again, they did take a lot of liberties with this film, and I can understand why. It just really goes to show, if you were an African American living in LA during the 1980s and early 90s, there was a lot to be angry about. And just this film was the big break for O'Shea Jackson Jr. Ice Cube's son playing his father in this film. He looks just like his father, and yeah, just him and Eazy and Dr. Dre, DJ Yella, and MC Ren, just the NWA, they're just so iconic. This film was emotional, and it was gripping, and it was engaging, and it was funny as well. It's cruising down the street in my 6'4". I don't even have a car. And yeah, this is this is probably my favorite biopic film. I've seen some pretty good biopic movies, but this one tops the list. Okay, my favorite movie of 2016. If I could make a list of films I regret not seeing in theaters, this would probably top the list, because that is Hell or High Water. I did not see this movie in theaters. I waited for it to come out in Fios. And yeah, just this is a modern Western. It's not in the 1800s with horses and, legit cowboys with revolvers and Winchester rifles. This is two sheriffs chasing two criminals played by Ben Foster and Chris Pine, and, Jeff Bridges is playing, the police officer. Just the performances are just so engaging. The tension is so high. It's just so high, and, you really feel you can picture yourself being in either of these positions. I remember when I watched Hell or High Water, I couldn't pull myself to know who to root for. I want to root for them both, even though they're both opposing each other at the same time. And just the action scenes, the cinematography, the editing, the direction was just so spot on. And Hell or High Water was I feel it's a very underappreciated film, even though it received an Oscar nomination for Best Picture. It's definitely a film that you guys should give a watch at some point. And yeah, 2016 is my first year when movie reviewing really became a thing, from a main part of my YouTube channel. So yeah, I reviewed all kinds of great movies that year, Arrival, Deadpool, Zootopia, Civil War, yeah, a lot of really great stuff came out that year. But Hell or High Water tops list. Oh my gosh. Someone is gonna dislike this video and crucify me in the comments for putting this movie as my favorite movie of 2017, and that is The Last Jedi. Stupefy! Ha! I got you! I'm not dead yet. I know there's been a whole lot of like mixed reception surrounding The Last Jedi. I feel like people, when it first came out, were saying, yeah, it's really, really great. Now a lot of people have changed their minds, like, oh my gosh, this movie is like a load of horse trash. Because the whole Rose and Finn subplot and it ruined all the fan theories, and just their characters didn't make any sense. When I saw this movie back in 2017 during Christmas break, my freshman year here at CSU, I saw this movie and there was such a great sense of community in the theater. People were dressed up as Star Wars characters, and everyone like raised their sabers for the Princess Leia tribute at the end of the movie. Carrie Fisher, may she rest in peace. And like, I just remember like when the title screen came up long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Dun, da da da. Everyone's like, "Whoa, yeah, Star Wars!" Then we watched the film, and everyone's clapping as the movie ended. Then I walked up to get to the restroom, and the guys were in the bathroom as well. I was like, "Better than Force Awakens?" They're like, "Way better." It's like, I still stand by my opinion of this film being the best out of the new Star Wars trilogy. And again, if you disagree with me, that's completely fine. This is my opinion. You respect my opinion, I respect yours. I mean, take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm not very difficult to please, especially with Star Wars films. Like, the only Star Wars movie that I flat out dislike personally is Attack of the Clones. That's just me, I guess. And yeah, just like the Ryan Johnson, yeah, that's the director's name. I think I really liked the direction that he put Star Wars in. It's like, let the past die, and it's like we need to push this franchise in a new direction. And that's what he did. I thought that was brilliant. I know a lot of people didn't really care for that, but I thought it was great. Yeah, just the characters like Poe Dameron and Finn and Rey and Mark Hamill returning as Luke Skywalker for the last time. Oh my gosh. And Yoda's cameo in the movie when like Yoda just burns all the text. The sacred texts! Oh my god, that meme template was inescapable for some time. He's like, read them, did you? Page turners. They were not. And Ben Driver as Kylo Ren. Oh my gosh, such an engaging villain slash anti-hero, however you want to view him. I would be okay if they didn't make any theatrical Star Wars films for a while. I still haven't watched The Mandalorian. I still don't have Disney Plus, but yeah, I definitely need to give that a watch at some point. Okay, my favorite movie 2018, which might go down as the most underrated film of the decade. That, my friends, is Sorry to Bother You. Oh my gosh, Boots Riley's direction for this independent film with Lakeith Stanfield and Stephen Yeun was so flawless, and it really made me want to go see more independent films. This is like an absurdist comedy. I saw the trailers for this movie, it looked really good. It's like, I thought it would just be like a comedy about telemarketers, but no, guys. This movie is so much more than that. There's so much absurdity and crazy stuff and social commentary that goes on throughout the film, and it's hilarious, and it shocks you, it's unexpected, it grabs your attention. It's just like you watch it and you can't get your eyes off it. There's a really despicable villain played by Armie Hammer, and yeah, Lakeith Stanfield is like a very underrated actor, and I want to see more films with him in it. And it's just like, this film didn't get the recognition it deserved because, it was an independent film, and it's like, oh, that's the same way we got Black Panther and Endgame and all these other like really big films, like superhero movies and whatnot, like always. But yeah, like, Sorry to Bother You is like that movie that I think everyone deserves, that it really deserves more attention than it got. Alright, and my favorite movie 2019 coming down the home stretch here, guys, is Avengers Endgame, which reluctantly cracked a spot in my top 5 when I made my video ranking all the films, the best movies from the 2010s. Yeah, this is now the highest grossing movie of all time, and this is like the Return of the King of Marvel movies. Just everything came together so perfectly. I could not have asked for a better conclusion, for the Infinity Saga. Honestly, I loved Spider-Man Far From Home that came out that summer, but like if they just stopped making MCU movies after Endgame, I wouldn't have a problem with that, personally, because yeah, I was so excited going to this movie, and it exceeded my expectations that were so high for it already. Like the last fight scene, oh my gosh, I'm still peeved about this. A year ago, I made a video taking the last fight scene in Endgame, with like everyone assembling and everyone coming back to life through the Doctor Strange portals, and put dragon forces through the fire and flames over it. And it got blocked due to its copyright content, so I'm gonna set the Vimeo account at some point and post it there so you guys can watch it. But yeah, I had so much fun editing that. And yeah, just like the performances, the score, Alan Silvestri should have been nominated for Best Score. This movie should have been nominated for Best Picture. Consider that Black Panther was nominated for so many Oscars the year before that. Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, man. Rest in power, my king. And yeah, just like everyone came together, and the direction from the Russo brothers was just so spot on. Like everything, there were no loose ends untied. Like Iron Man got his farewell, Thor joins the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Captain America finally got the life he always wanted with the love of his life, Betsy, or Peggy. Yeah, Peggy's her name. When he went back in time, and so the movie just ends them slow dancing together with the vaudeville music or whatever it was called. And yeah, you just want to like shed tears of both sadness and joy when the credits are rolling. And yeah, just this film was everything it needed to be, and it was more. Okay, I know the year's not really over yet, but like the movies theaters have been closed for most of 2020, and we're not getting a whole lot of stuff, for the rest of the year from what it looks like. We still got Black Widow to look forward to, of course, and some other films. But from what I have seen so far, again, just my opinion, I'd say as of now, my favorite movie 2020 is The Invisible Man, which is not directly part of the dark universe that Universal tried setting up with The Mummy back in 2017. It kind of fell apart. I think they're still planning on making more like classic movie monster films, for the new age. I really hope they do a Creature of Black Lagoon movie. But yeah, just like Elizabeth Moss, her performance being menaced by the Invisible Man was just so spot on. And like just the Invisible Man, it's like I made a meme a while ago where it's like the Amateurs meme where it's like, oh, amateurs, what was that, punk? Amateurs, like you have John Cena and Drax Beer, you can't see me. No, you can't see me. Amateurs. What was that, punk? The Invisible Man. Amateurs. Yeah, move over John Cena and Drax. And yeah, this film was really tense and it was gripping. Like I was really excited walking into it, and it exceeded my expectations. And yeah, I really hope Universal makes more films like this. Woo! I got some editing to do. Thank you guys so much for watching this video today. And whatever you guys end up doing tonight for Halloween or tomorrow or this weekend or this coming week with the election and stuff like that, please just stay safe, stay respectful, and of course have fun and enjoy yourself. And yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what year you guys were born in, and just like rank all the movies that you've seen, of those respective years, like your favorites of each of them. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, like, please, and subscribe if you're new to my channel, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. It's in the description down below. My name is TVB9. Stay beastly.